because we are the enemies. We're the only enemies now. Because if they get rid of us, if they got rid of the Catholic Church, which they won't, then all other religions would collapse. There'd be no reason. Nobody would subsist. No Christian religion would continue, and no Judaism would succeed. It would be all over. And the sacrament of the Mass would stop. There would no longer be a blessed sacrament, no chapel, no worship, and the eternal sacrifice the prophet Malachi speaks about would have ceased, and the world would come to an end. So we are essential, and Lucifer knows that. And he knows too he's going to be beaten, but he's doing his damnedest, as they say, to take as many with him, because he doesn't take prisoners.
Now, the focus of Windswept House was the Holy Father.
That's right.
Is that one of the key elements of this Luciferian movement of building the New World Order, is to gain some measure of control over the papacy?
Bernard, correct that statement, to gain total control. Total control. Because if you don't have total control over the papacy, just partial control of part of the papal government, the other part is going to go against you. You must control it completely. And there are two ways of control. Either I control it because I give you direct orders and you fulfill them, or I make it in such a way that you fulfill my will, my commands, without knowing it.
And that's perhaps the situation. The second scenario is perhaps the situation then that we have today.
For the majority, they think they're okay. They think it's fine. But some of them have lost their faith. Others are weak, and they don't want to go against the grain. They don't want to stand up and be counted. They don't want to rock the boat. I know middle of the road Monsignori and bishops, good priests who never soiled their soul, never committed sins really, and are just and good, but they won't do anything. They will go along with anything that's proposed. And that I think is as bad as the person who fulfills the evil commands of Lucifer. I think it's just as bad. You're permitting things to happen.
These are the lukewarm souls we're talking about here.
Yes, and the first curse in the apocalypse is, because you're neither hot nor cold, I'm going to spit you out of my mouth. That's the first. It's of the church.
And that's why we're called to be a church militant.
That's right. But tell me, where is that militancy today? Where is there any evangelistic fervour? Where is there a missionary effort? Where is there apostolicity and fervour and let's go do it, let's get moved? It doesn't exist. Where? Tell me, Bernard, do you see it anywhere? It's nowhere. That spirit has died out. It's now a question of compromise. And, for instance, the present Pope has signed an agreement with the Orthodox churches that he will forbid all proselytism. You can't try to convert a Russian or a Greek now. You're forbidden by the Pope. Come on. Now you're not supposed to try and convert Jews. That's also being frowned upon, because that offends our Jewish brothers. And their covenant is as valid as our covenant with God. So the doctrine goes. And that's the end of the missionary church. But, our condition is such that we need to have missions to ourselves, because we are fading fast in our ordinary liturgy, our ordinary prayer, and our ordinary asceticism. And while there's a small handful getting better and better, getting more and more holy, getting more and more divine in their behavior, the majority of Catholics are being led out of the church by the nose, and they don't know it. They don't know it. They think it's okay. And as a priest, I meet them every day of the week in America, and they think everything is fine until you start pointing out certain things, and they suddenly say, "Yeah, that's funny. That's no good." And then you hope that it's only a conversation of 5 minutes or 10 minutes or an hour. You hope that later on it will bear fruit. But most of them find it's too difficult to go against the grain. How can they go up to their pastor and say, "You're teaching heresy," or "You're not teaching the truth"? They're not going to do that. The pastor will say, "You're an ignoramus. I did my theology. I'm a priest. I have authority from the bishop and the pope." Especially on this pope, because he's a key pope. He's at a key moment in church history. He has a key power to wield. He's wielding it in one direction, which I think is wrong, but I'm only a single Catholic and he's Pope. And I am not in the catbird seat. I don't know what he knows that makes him act as he does. I pray for him, and I will continue to honour him and defend him as my Pope. I will not agree with him when he teaches me something that goes against what I've been taught.
And a Catholic need not follow something that, let's say, goes against the faith, let's say like, or the traditions of the Church, let's say like his ecumenism.
No need whatever. In fact, you shouldn't. St. Thomas and all the saints say, if a bishop or a pope teaches something which you know from your tradition, from your teaching, from your catechism, from your parents, from your school, from your church, is not what the church has taught, you have no reason to follow it. You can say, no, Holy Father, I won't accept that, and still be a loyal Catholic. In fact, you are bound to do that for the sake of truth. You're bound to. The idea that when a pope says something, that says you can't open your mouth, that's not Catholicism at all. So, that's my attitude to John Paul II. I have severe difficulties with a lot he has done and a lot he does. I have severe difficulties with a lot of things he says he believes. I can't believe them because my tradition in the Catholic Church says, no, that's not correct. On the other hand, the Luciferians have a very tight schedule. They have an inner Luciferian prophecy that says that unless the prince is properly installed in the citadel, namely the Church, the Vatican, by 1999, they've lost. But in order to install him completely, to complete the enthronement, they have to get rid of this Pope. Now, how do you get rid of a Pope? Well, you kill him, or you get him to resign, or he dies. Now, they're not going to kill him because it's too mucky, and then there's no such thing as a secret. We now know who killed the other popes, and we know why they did it. And there's no such thing as a secret. It always leaks out, and they don't want this to be on their
They don't want it to backfire on them.
That's right, and it would.
Now, since the fall of the Iron Curtain, has Pope John Paul II actually had a coherent strategy for dealing, let's say, with the problems in the Church and in the world?
No, he has not had a coherent strategy because, you see, we always forget this, Bernard. He is the head of a bureaucracy, a very talented bureaucracy, and its biggest source of talent is the Secretary of State. The Secretary of State is divided into two sections. One deals with bishops, and the second one, the second part of it, deals with secular governments. And then, by the way, they're experts. There's no doubt about the Vatican people know what they're doing. And their information is legendary. They have information on a 24-hour basis. They have a source of information that the American government or the CIA or the Mossad or the KGB haven't got. But they must implement a Pope's policy, and they are dead set against Pope John Paul II's geopolitics. They don't agree with him. They frustrated him and they frustrate him, and now it's too late. They frustrated him because they have their own ambitions. Why? Because they're thoroughly penetrated with Masonry.
So there are Masons right in the Vatican?
Oh yes. Oh yes. Oh yes. Oh yes. That's the difficulty. That's the big difficulty. We've been penetrated. The barbarians are in the streets of the city. They're not outside the door. They're not outside the walls. They're in charge. They're in charge. And John Paul II has realized that he can't move hand or foot unless he was strong enough to take out an axe and cut off heads. But he can't lift an axe any longer. He can't cut off any heads. He is dying. And now he has all the ghosts of the past coming at him. And he has all the ghosts of the present moment and all the spectres of unsolved problems. And his judgment is gone awry. I mean, he receives Fidel Castro and Gorbachev in the same 36 hours and honors them. You don't honor people of that nature. If you have to talk to them, you talk to them very privately, and you send it through a Monsignore or a bishop, of which he has many. You don't honor them with a papal visit.